I found something for you.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
A lamp.
You don't say.
This nice young woman was moving and she sold it to me. Seems like she was in quite a hurry. You know, she didn't live too far from here neither.
Intriguing.
There was this other girl there. Funny little thing. Kept going on about some author. I forget the name. You know who I'm talking about.
How? I wasn't there.
No. P-Y-T, pretty young thing, selling shit. You know her.
Yeah, I guess I do.
I thought you might. She's hard to miss.
So this lamp, it's the only thing they had left?
No, they have lots of stuff. I thought you could use it
Oh, yeah?
for your readings. She says...
She, always she.
Yes. She says you should let the light guide you. I thought that it'd be fitting.
Let me tell you something about she.
By all means.
I heard she looks like Paul Lynde.
Is that right?
It is? My brother knew a guy who saw her once.
It sounds airtight.
No, it's just something to think about.
Sounds like you've been doing a lot of that lately. A lot of thinking.
Kind of puts a different spin on things.
What does?
You think of Paul Lynde telling those tall tales. Or vice versa. What do you mean?
Imagine her voicing that rat bitch in Charlotte's Web.
So where is this lamp? This light of my life?
It's out there waiting for you. But why don't you tell us more about this Lynde hypothesis?
There's not much else to it. Kinda wish she was Paul Lynde. At least then she'd be good at parties.
Oh, I don't know. I think those marine tapes can really hold a room.
Which one's that?
What about some piece of meat named Moraine?
Never seen it.
Well, it's a tape.
Then I've never heard it.
You know, they might change your mind. She thinks that listening...
She is always thinking.
She is.
Always thinking. And always some little dictum to go along, like we couldn't walk and chew pussy without her grand insight. You want to know what I think?
No.
She is starting to sound like one of those broads you see in a cafe who thinks they've got a fucking rose up their ass because they're dressed like some kind of Fitzgerald Flapper bitch.
I'm not familiar.
Oh, you know. It's the kind that reads the feminine mystique and then goes out and gets herself a shaved twat.
Wouldn't it be the opposite?
What is?
I just always imagined those types with some sort of cat nine tails down there.
I guess. My point is, why should I sit around and listen to some corpse carry on about Van Gogh and the slag who would offer up her Clams Casino for a couple of francs and a pat on the fucking head?
I thought you said you never heard it.
Heard what?
The tape.
And your brother?
Yeah. Terry?
Yeah, how's he doing?
I guess he lives in Philadelphia now. Once I heard about some bird there who was nickel and diming herself by the 4th grade.
Is that true?
I don't know, but the whole thing seemed very Philadelphia to me.
You see him a lot?
Who?
Terry.
Not since my dad died.
Oh, he's gone.
I never told you that story?
There's a story?
Where there's a dead dad, there's always a story. Anyway, he died the same week as Terry's dog.
How'd he go?
Exactly.
What?
You're asking about my dad, right?
Yeah?
Everybody asks about the dad first.
Yeah, and?
And nothing. That wasn't what my brother cared about. All he could think of was this goddamn dog.
How did it die?
I don't know. However the fuck a dog dies, this one did.
And your dad?
You know that shit they sprayed in Vietnam? See all the zips hiding in the trees?
Yeah.
Because he got all fucked up from that. Point is, he's lying in a hospital bed for months just begging to be taken, and flesh and blood staring back at him, and it ain't even staring back. It's all pissing its eyes over some bitch named Richard.
Shit.
I know.
How old were you?
About 11 months.
So how'd you even know?
All great men know the fate of their fathers.
And your brother?
Funny to think, they must have known about all that when they tried to have me.
Yeah?
Yeah. Guess they wanted one more to line the nest. Didn't care how they brought it into the world.
That's nice, though.
A lot of fucking good it did. Just look at that Philadelphia maxi pad. A real queen of diamonds, that one.
Oh, shit. Her river's running wild. What do I do with it?
Just give it to me. Who'd you get?
Ollie North.
Doing the high dive.
So you're saying she wasn't good in bed?
It wasn't that she was lousy. It's just like fucking her was like fucking in a Judy Blume novel.
Why?
I think a lot of them are like that at first.
Like what?
They're like super morose and having mixed feelings when they start to fuck, like they're guilty of something, and then they all stop feeling guilty and they keep fucking. And that is why it's like fucking in a Judy Blume novel, you know?
I'm sure your folks will be proud to hear you now.
Please. They don't have a dog in this pony show.
Why? They get knocked up before the big day?
I don't know. Maybe. I never knew him. Hey.
Oh, right. Do you ever think about finding them?
No. It's kind of better this way. They can be anyone. You can kind of make your own history.
Have you?
Not history per se, just sort of what they look like and whatnot.
So what do they look like?
I always imagined my father to look like Gerard Depardieu.
Really? Why?
It's a matter of expectation.
How so?
Okay. See, girls always imagine some Tom, Joad, Henry Fonda motherfucker to be their father. But the big joke is, Fonda is too good. He could be anyone. So when Tom Joad is spreading your moss sideways, it's Henry Fonda leaving the cab fare after. No one really knows Fonda. And if they did, they probably wouldn't want us, so there's a disappointment. But Depardieu can only be Depardieu. So, by transitive property, When your mom's pussy lips are smirking, they are smirking for Gerard Depardieu and not some sweaty Gargamel-looking motherfucker he plays.
And what about your mom?
What about her?
Is she the Jean Seberg to your Depardieu?
Maybe. Sometimes. I don't know. I don't really have a final opinion on her. I'd give a whole lot to have your setup. Kind of hard to get rid of the adoption stigma.
I don't think so.
Please. Whenever you hear adoption, you think of some 15-year-old getting it uncensored on prom night. At least I own up to it with all the Depardieu shit.
So, like, calling yourself buckwheat instead of some other pickaninny nom de plume?
Something like that. Well, I should go. Gotta get all lathered up before bed.
I swear, every night.
You know, Voltaire took a lot of baths.
Did he really?
I don't fucking know.
All right, I'll call you after class.
Okay.
I had this teacher once when I was little, Miss Maureen. Must have been about 7 or something. Anyway, she was teaching us about Van Gogh, about the ear and all that. But when she tells the story, she says he yanked it off and gave it to his girlfriend or his wife or something. So I'm sitting there thinking, this is the most romantic thing and God's greenest pasture. Demented and fucked beyond the beyond, but, you know, eye of the beholder and all that. So some years go by and I'm reading this book and get to a part about Van Gogh, and now this is where it gets interesting. It wasn't his girlfriend at all. It was a whore. That's who he gave his ear to. It wasn't even the whole ear, just part of the lobe and a bit of the rest. I guess he just had a fight with some friend of his and another artist to go, I forget his name. So he gives this, whatever the fuck it was, to some whore, and he's on his way out the door. Funny thing is, this wasn't some salt-of-the-earth courtesan. This was just some whore. A whore you'd find bobbing apples in the back of some West Virginia Buick. A whore you'd find on the docks in Fleet Week. A whore is a whore is a whore, to quote the bard. Now, only an asshole would use the word decorum in this situation, but for the sake of ceremony, let's stand on this affectation. See, people always try and fill in the shades of gray instead of focusing on the story at hand. Suddenly, a whore, some repulsive, cum-soaked cesspool, becomes an unrequited love. And now here's something to think about. Did that teacher share in her tall tale, 30 years later, make that girl any less of a whore? Did it make him any less of a disgusting fiend? This notion, this supposed compassion, it's a learned behavior. Something we pick up from people like Ms. Maureen, who think they can run from the present by changing the past. But we must rid ourselves of this defect if we are to be resolute, if we are to be focused, and if we are to succeed. And I don't need to remind you of the stakes of what we're up against. The so-called First World, being led by Cousin Eleanor and Franklin, their own brand of sin and disease, a guiding light to the new America, the new republic. So the question becomes, how do we respond? How do we stand in defiance of such overwhelming odds? Sure, I'd love to slither back in my easy chair and get thumb-fucked into a better tomorrow. But then I'm no better than those who is John Galt types, who'd have you believe this is a world of the self, of you and you alone. How anyone could face the day with that syphilitic logic is beyond me. So here it is. Here's the coffin-cold truth you won't find on the back of some fucking billboard. It's all numbers. Like a virus, you must exist to propagate your kind until you cannot be ignored, until you cannot be denied, and until you cannot be defeated. And once we overwhelm them with our numbers, we will overwhelm them with our truth. The truth that lies in you all. The truth that lies in these words.